Have you ever had something that you've always wanted to start, you've always wanted to do, and for some reason you just never get to, or you're like in a certain stage in your life where you're unhappy, or you want to change your circumstances. For some reason, no matter how hard you try or think, you just don't really follow through. And I think one of the biggest answers to that is fear. A lot of people kind of let their fear guide them through life. You're pretty much just reacting to what's happening to you, and you're really not. For example, like let's say that you want to go this way and you want to start going on this path, and all of a sudden you face fear, something that you're scared of, something that you're doubtful about, something, oh well, I don't know if this is going to work, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and you just get pushed back to the same the same path that you were in, and life kind of goes through it. It kind of tends to evolve in that stage unless you realize it, and once you get to that fear, you're going on that road, you break through it. Now you're on a different path, and then now more fear is going to come through, and you just got to keep breaking those barriers. And most people are not don't react in that way. That mostly everybody will kind of go through life, and then they just get bumped around. Stay in the box. Don't do what everybody else is telling you not to do. Don't take any risk. It's just and it kind of goes through a life cycle from the moment that you're born. I feel like you learn a lot of things from just watching kids. I was at the pool the other day, and this kid was kind of hanging off this rail, and it was actually pretty cool what he was able to do. And his parents, right away, no, get out, get away from there, don't do that. And there's different, so we're conditioned from the very beginning to, we start. We're not, as you watch little kids, they're not fearful, they're always touching things and feeling for things and kind of experiencing the world as it comes to them. And I feel like as we grow up, society kind of, just teaches you, to just kind of, once you learn what you need to learn, then you're scared to kind of deviate from that, get away from whatever you've already learned. But what I've always told people is never feel comfortable. And as you watch, some of my other videos, I always say that, don't ever feel comfortable. If you're feeling comfortable, you're not growing. You're not learning. Your space is getting a lot smaller. You're not venturing out anywhere. And these are the things that we're conditioned by. It's not our fault. This is something that you just kind of grow. I mean, I'm the same way in many times, and I've had to kind of unlearn those behaviors and face. I guess just realize that that fear is always going to be there. And if you think about it, if you think about your life and what for example, sometimes we always kind of think the worst. We always think the worst is going to happen. And never, if you think about it, it never really happens that way. Life doesn't usually happen as you think it's going to happen. It's usually, less than that. And I wanted to make this video. I actually thought about this today. It's, Memorial Day. And you think about soldiers and you think about, people that are in Afghanistan, Iraq, they're in those types of situations where they face fear every single day. Every single day they're facing fear. And some of these people, they come back with traumatic experiences, and a lot of them, end up not even being able to function in life after those experiences, because kind of fear beats you down and you're always in that state of fear. But there's always those people that are resilient. You read about those stories, you hear about people growing up in these crappy situations, and where they grew up without a mother or a parent, or they grew up in a really crappy neighborhood, and there's all this fear that's around you. You're constantly all these things are happening around you, and you never really learn because you're just in constant fear. But there's those people that kind of learn the fear and grow from the actual fear itself. They become more aware of things, and they almost just unlearn the fear. They become fearless as they grow up and they experience different things and they approach different things differently and without fear, and they start companies, they start business. I mean, you look at people like Donald Trump, who went bankrupt 3 or 4 times to zero, and they just came out of that. You look at people like 50 Cent, Muhammad Gandhi, who were in crappy situations, and they came out of it. And I read about all these different people, and that's the reason why I read biographies, is that you'll learn how these people came out of this horrible situation, and they just were resilient and came out of it. So I guess my lesson to you guys is never feel comfortable. If you have something that you fear, you have to face your fear, because by facing fear, you'll learn from it. You're never scared of that thing anymore. For example, when I first started internet marketing, there was so much fear as far as, man, you went to college, you're not going to medical school because you want to start this, and it's fearful not going to what society, letting your parents down, because everybody thinks you're going to do this, and that's kind of what you've always had in your head. But you can't be like somebody else. You always, what I've learned, you always have to be yourself. There's always going to be people that hate on you, that say things about you. Look at people that are on the top. Look at NBA players. Look at actors and actresses. There's gossip there's a whole channel dedicated towards that, and that's what you have to learn. That these things are going to happen, and who cares what anybody thinks? You have to do what you want to do, and that's what differentiates you from everybody else. You can't do what everybody else does. That's why only 2% of the people make most of the money in the world, because they've differentiated themselves. And it's not just about money, it's about life in general. You can't just follow what you grew up with or what you see. You have to just really be in tune with yourself and kind of what you want. So the one thing I want to say to you guys, step out of the box. If there's something that you want to do, if you want to, if there's a business that you want to pursue, you want to change your life, you can't settle. You can't feel comfortable. Most people, they got out of college, they got a job, and then everything else starts piling on. You get a house, you get married, you have kids, and the whole time you're comfortable. You're content with what's going on, but I feel like a lot of people want to do more, and that's what you have to. You always have to be in tune with yourself and know that you can never feel comfortable. You should always learn things. You should always expand yourself, because when you expand yourself, and like I said before, when you go all these different paths, you're just knocking fear out of the way, and you become a stronger person. And that's why people usually, when they endure something like a hurricane, their house is completely destroyed, or some of these people really come out of that very strong. And especially people that grew up in a struggle, or they've always they had to struggle in the beginning. You always have to struggle in anything that you do, whether it's starting your own business, whether it's wanting to be a professional soccer player, professional basketball player, you're going to be an actor. You always have to struggle, and that's what you have to kind of embrace. That there's always going to be that fear of everything. You just have to be aware that it's there. You have to be aware that the fear is there, and you just kind of have to just keep chugging along, knowing that the fear is there. Realize, okay, well, this is what I'm scared of, right? and think in the positive. This is what can actually happen, and just put the fear away, and just go through life in that stage where you're not. And it's it can be hard. It can be hard to really just, okay, well, I know the fear is there. I'm just gonna know. You have to just you have to keep following whatever you're doing, and you're gonna feel it every single day. I mean, there's times where I woke up every single morning and I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? You're not making progress, but the little things that you do every single day, it's crazy. Like, after a month, 2 months, 3 months, like, everything kind of starts coming together. And those are all the little fears that you've knocked away are just you're learning. And you don't, once you learn those fears, when they come back, you just say, I know that's not going to happen. That's not the way it's going to go. And you can make better decisions. You have more control of your life. And you don't become like that. Like, those people where just they let life just kind of knock them around with no real intuition or guidance as to really what to do. So, guys, step out of the box. I know I keep saying a lot of videos. Don't let fear stop you. Whether it's starting your own business, even if it sounds crazy. I mean, look at all the businesses out there. Look at Tumblr just sold for just crazy amounts of money for some high school kid who just decided, this was a good idea. And I'm sure in the beginning people were like, oh man, you're not going to college, you're not, why aren't you following it? And I'm sure he got a lot of hate from it. I mean, look at him now. So whatever you want to do, always follow your dream no matter what. Even if you're going to have people talk bad about you, you're going to have negative people around you saying, no, you're not going to make it, you're not going to do this. Well, let me tell you something. Those same people that you want those people, because when people are hating on you, they're really just jealous of you being that person who doesn't let fear knock you around. You face fear, you knock it out of the way, you keep going, and that's what you have to be. So, guys, like I said before, step out of the box and grow yourself. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks.